The hunting grounds of Verix Prime were painted in hues of violet and amber as three suns began their descent. Kaela pressed her back against the crystalline rock formation, her breathing shallow and controlled despite the gash across her left shoulder. The wound wasn't deep, but it bled freely, and on this world, blood was a beacon. She had been tracking the Verixian cubs for 2 hours through the fungal forests when they'd turned the tables on her. Smart little predators, she'd give them that. The species had barely achieved tool use, yet their hunting instincts were sharp enough to make veteran soldiers nervous. The cubs circled her position now, 5 of them, each the size of a tiger cub but built like miniature tanks. Their chitinous plates gleamed in the fading light, and their 6 eyes tracked every movement she made. Kaela's rifle lay 15 meters away where she'd dropped it during the initial ambush. Her sidearm had jammed after the first shot. All she had left was a combat knife and her wits. One of the cubs crept closer, nostrils flaring as it sampled the air. Its siblings followed, forming a tightening semicircle. Kaela could see the intelligence in their movements, the way they communicated through subtle body, language, and low-frequency rumbles that made her bones vibrate. Then, they caught the full scent of her blood. All 5 cubs froze simultaneously, the lead cub's head tilted, confusion rippling across its features. It took a step back, then another. Its siblings did the same, their aggressive postures melting into something Kaela had never seen in a Verixian predator before. Hesitation. One of the smaller cubs made a sound, not a growl or a hiss, but something closer to a whisper in their ultrasonic language. Kaela's translator implant caught fragments of it. Pattern. Old blood. That's it, then clearer than before, one word that made her heart stop. That's Raze. Kaela's mind raced. Raze. The name she hadn't heard spoken aloud in 3 years. The name that belonged to another life, another version of herself. Before she was Kaela the xenobiologist, she had been Raze the soldier, Raze the survivor of the Verix Wars. Raze, whose blood had been spilled across a dozen worlds in the Outer Rim. The cubs were backing away now, their earlier predatory confidence completely evaporated. The lead one made a submissive gesture, lowering its head and averting its eyes. It was the posture young Verixians showed to their elders, to those who had earned respect through combat. "How do you know that name?" Kaela asked, her voice steady despite the surreal nature of the situation. The translator struggled with the cubs' rapid exchange. They were too young to speak Galactic Standard, but the implant provided rough approximations. Mothers told, "Human warrior. Treaty war." Blood carries memory. Blood carries memory. Kaela's mind snapped to a classified briefing she'd read years ago. Verixian biology was unique. Their olfactory systems could detect not just chemical compounds, but genetic markers, ancestral information encoded in the very structure of DNA. They could smell history. During the Verix Wars, Kaela, Raze as she'd been known then, had fought in 18 major engagements across their territory. She'd saved a Verixian colony from a rogue AI, had negotiated the Treaty of Crimson Stone after standing alone against a war party for 6 hours. She'd bled on their worlds, fought alongside some of their warriors, and earned a title in their tongue that roughly translated to "she who honors the hunt." The cubs could smell all of that in her blood. The smallest cub stepped forward cautiously and performed an intricate gesture with its forelimbs. The same gesture Verixian warriors had shown her when the war ended, a sign of respect between equals. Kaela felt something loosen in her chest. She'd left that life behind, had changed her name and become a scientist studying the very species she'd once fought. She'd wanted to build instead of destroy, to understand instead of kill. But here, in this moment, the past and present collided. "I am Raze," she said quietly, acknowledging what they already knew. "But I'm also Kaela now. I study your people. I want to help your kind find peace with mine." The lead cub approached slowly, stopping just beyond striking distance. It made a rumbling sound that the translator rendered as, "Cubs learn from mothers. Mothers learn from grandmothers. All know Raze, human who fights like Verixian, human who bleeds and does not break." Humanity's gift, Kaela thought, wasn't superior technology or greater numbers. It was adaptability. It was the ability to be a warrior one day and a scientist the next, to fight when necessary and seek peace when possible. It was carrying the past in your blood while reaching for a different future with your hands. She retrieved her rifle slowly, watching as the cubs maintained their respectful distance. They could have killed her when she was wounded and disarmed, but they hadn't, because they'd smelled who she was, who she'd been, and recognized something worth sparing. "Your mothers were right to teach you about Raze," Kaela said, checking her weapon. "But I hope your children will know me as Kaela, the one who helped your people reach the stars alongside humanity, not against us." The lead cub made a sound that might have been agreement or simply acknowledgement. Then, as quickly as they'd appeared, the 5 cubs melted back into the fungal forest, leaving Kaela alone with her thoughts and her bleeding shoulder. She activated her comm unit. "Base, this is Kaela. Observation mission complete." The cubs displayed unexpected behavioral patterns, requesting medical and filing a supplementary report. As she began the trek back to base camp, Kaela smiled slightly. Perhaps the universe had a sense of humor after all. She'd spent 3 years trying to distance herself from her past, only to have it save her life in the most unexpected way. The cubs had smelled Raze in her blood and paused. In that pause, they'd recognized that humans were more than just another species to fight or flee from. They were beings capable of change, of carrying contradictions, of being both warrior and peacemaker. That, more than any weapon or technology, was what made humanity formidable among the stars.